We're all gonna die. Yes, I know it sounds sad and maybe a bit depressing, but actually it's a given. I mean, it's one of the few things that we can be sure of. And I put that as a topic today because I've been noticing that there's, or maybe not noticing, I think it's the YouTube algorithm that has just been serving me up people who have been passing away. I think the last one I saw was Sam Neill. He was in Jurassic Park and in Ivanhoe, that movie, if you remember that. And it's so interesting when you see people who you've kind of, I almost said known, but for someone like him, I've seen him since Ivanhoe was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. I used to absolutely love Ivanhoe. And he was part of that movie, and then we saw him in Jurassic Park. So it's someone who you've seen grow up, who got older. I mean, he was grown up even then, but yeah, now he was like old. He was like 78, I think. So you could see him going from being a probably young man when I thought he was old in Ivanhoe, and then like growing older and older until like he passed away. And that does something to you when you think about, for me, I mean, I'm 48, so that means that I saw him when I was, how old would I have been? Yeah, that's like 40 years ago, maybe. 40 years ago, I saw him in Ivanhoe. And to think about how he was a big part of my childhood, someone I looked at and I watched the movies with him and I knew about him. And then I saw the other movies he did. And I mean, I'm not like a super fan, but I recognize him. And then now he's passed away, so he doesn't live anymore. And that makes you think like, oh, wait a minute. When I watched him, he was younger than I am now. Was he? Yes, he was. He was actually younger than I am now. He was 10 years younger. Wow, he was only 38. That's like so young. My goodness. And the movie was probably recorded before that, so the version I watched of him was like in his early 30s. Hey, Stephen, nice to see you. And then I've seen him get older and older, and I've gotten older and older as well. And now he's passed away, so it means that the lag that he went before me, and I'm just using him as an example for me. I mean, if you think of yourself, I'm sure you have someone like that in your life, a famous person or a singer or someone who you've seen, or maybe even a relative. Like I also, it's the same for me with neighbors' parents who pass away. It's the same feeling of like I've known them for a long time and they pass away. So seeing how he lived kind of before me. I mean, obviously he's older. He's older than me, or he was older than me. And then he now passed away. That means that my life is also finite, because he's obviously not going to live forever. We have this idea that somehow famous people are not real. They just live forever. They just keep on living. And sometimes it seems that bad people go on living forever as well. Like there's people just keep on living, but then eventually they actually pass away. And that can be something that can make you scared, but it can also be something that gives you a lot of relief and a lot of comfort and perspective. To see that the things you're worried about now, the things you think are so important right now, are they really? Are they really that important? Is it really that urgent that they do that one thing that you think you have to do right now? And if you don't do it in a specific way, then something absolutely terrible is going to happen. Is that really, really true? When you think about that, we're all going to die, because we are. I mean, that's just one of those givens. Like if life starts and then life ends, that's how it works. We as humans, we tend to identify so much with this human body and being here that we think that, well, I need to make it last as long as possible, and then we try to prolong our lives by, I can't remember his name, Brian Johnson, I think it is. He's a YouTuber who is going to live forever. He wants to live forever, at least. Well, maybe not forever, but he wants to live as long as possible. And the idea of growing old and dying, he's almost like a failure. So he's doing everything to prolong his life, which is a good thing to do, but it's kind of taken to a bit of an extreme. And we do that. I mean, he does that in that regard. And spiritual people, what people generally do is that they think like, well, it doesn't matter because I'm not attached to this body, so I am going to just not be attached to this life because I know there's another one after this. And then I'll continue. I'm not going to die, or I'm going to be rejoined with my angel guides, spirit guides, or other dimension or higher level beings. And like we have this anything but facing the reality that you're going to die. Like come up with any reason or excuse you can come up with, but just don't look at the fact that you're going to pass away, because that is really scary. So we do as much as we can to work around that and not actually come to the point where we have to look at, oh, I'm mortal, I will die. So seeing someone who passes away like that, and especially if it's a famous person, like I said, where you've seen them grow old. I remember Sean Connery, when he passed away, it was the same thing for me, because I loved James Bond as well when I was younger. That gives you perspective, and it gives you I think it's the same as when you see kids, when you have kids. I mean, if you're parents, then you know that when a kid starts to grow up, all of a sudden you see how fast time goes. But when you don't have the reference of a child, then you don't really feel the growing old in the same way, because it's just like, oh, it's just another year, and you don't think about it. It's like one more year up. Who cares? Like it's just another year. I've done many of those before, and now it's another one, and then it's another one, and then it's another one, and you don't really count them. But when you have a child, they go from being a baby and they're an infant, and they're like this. No, sorry, they go from being an infant, and then they become a baby, and then they become a child, and then they become preteens, and then they become teenagers, and then all of a sudden they're adults, and they move away from home. I mean, my kids haven't done that yet, but it gives you that thing to measure yourself against, that thing that makes it so that time, all of a sudden, you'll notice the passage of time for your body, that your body is not going to be here forever, which it won't. I mean, if that's a difficult thing to look at, that means you're denying reality, and the majority of people on the planet actually do. We tend to just push it away, and we work so hard and we do all these things, and it's so important. But then all of a sudden we have to face death, and that changes a lot of people as well. It can be, as I said, you can see someone who's famous who passes away like that and use that as a gift for yourself to stop and think, oh, that actually means that I'm going to die as well. Or if you have a parent, my father died, and I remember that was really hard for me. When my grandmother died, the same thing as well. It's difficult. It was very difficult for me to negotiate the idea that they're gone forever. There's like no negotiating, no talking about it, no discussing. Like there's absolutely nothing I or anyone else could ever do about that, because they're gone. So they're not here now. That means that they're not here. No matter what I do, no matter what I say, how much I want it to be different, it's not going to change the fact that they left this earth. And that is a bit traumatizing to the self, because the self wants to be eternal. It wants to keep itself feeling like I'm going to live forever. And especially when you're younger, I mean, that's part of growing up. Like you can't really see the idea that you'll pass away. I mean, I remember when I was 15 or 18 and I thought, oh, someone who's 30, oh my God, they're like dead already. Like they're so old. Holy moly, like 30 years old. Jesus Christ, like that's so old. Like why do they even carry on? It seems pointless. And now when I'm looking at someone who's 30, I'm like, oh, they're just a child. 30 years old, they're so young. I mean, it's 30 years. I mean, there's a lot of people who have lived a lot of life at 30 or 25 or 20 or 15. It's like there's a lot that's going to happen in those 15, 20, 30, 50 years that comes after that. But when you're 15 and you look at someone who's 30, that seems so far away. But then when you're almost 50 and looking back at someone who's 30, it's like, oh, I thought that was yesterday. I thought I was 30 years old like 2 or 3 years ago, something like that. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it was like 18 years ago. So we have a hard time understanding passage of time, but we do a really good job at feeling the passage of time, meaning that we we pressure ourselves against the future. We put pressure against the past. So when you're 15 or like 8, when I remember, and I can see this in my daughter, she's 7, like all she wants to do is to turn 8, because then she's got in her mind that she's going to get hold in her ears. I haven't agreed to this, but her and her mother, my soon-to-be wife, apparently that's a thing. So like, I'm not going to put myself in between, but like, so for her, she's like, oh, I can't wait until I'm 8. And I remember when I was younger, and I was like, oh, I can't wait until I'm 10, because then I could do something. And then when I'm 15, because then I can drive a moped. And then when I'm 18, I can drive a car. Whoa, like that's like, what could you ever want but that? And you could drive a motorcycle. And then it was like, oh, when you're 20, I think it is, to buy liquor at the Systembolag, we call here in Sweden. You can only buy alcohol in one store. If I can just get to that age, then I can go and buy that. And then after 20, it was kind of like, yeah, it's fine now. Like, I don't really need to get much older. There was not much of a point in growing older. But yeah, maybe I can. Well, it's the things I can accumulate while I grow older. I can accumulate more money or more experience, or I can find like all the things I wanted to do. So it's still the idea that I'm not really here. I just want to get to over there. And then something happens somewhere along the road where you just go like, oh, wait a minute. Actually, it'd be nice if time slowed down so I could look back. I don't really need to go forward. Like it's enough now. Like at 48 now, if I'd be super happy staying here. That's like, I don't need to get older than this. It's fine. We can stop it here. It's okay. So understanding that you're gonna die, and not just in a macabre way or like a really depressive way. That's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it as in understanding that the pressure you put upon yourself, because for me, the nice thing about thinking about how small and insignificant I am is that all of these things that in my body, inside of me, seem so important, that I put so much pressure towards, oh, I want the future to turn out this way, and I wish the past hadn't done that. Like those two things, like generalizing here, they seem really irrelevant because you're gonna die. So it doesn't matter. Like the idea that you need to make something happen a specific way, well, you'll be dead anyway. So I mean, what does it matter if it happens exactly how you want it to be? Or like, what's the point? Like, why stress about all of that? For me, that's an incredible relief. For some people, they see that and they go like, wow, what's the point of doing anything? Like, I'm going to die anyway. And they feel depressed by that. It makes them very sad. It's like, there's no point in doing anything because I can't keep any of it. And that's also the self going in like, oh, well, if you can't get it, like, then you're not going to do anything at all. And there's no point in doing anything. And there's a strong sense of self in there that feels disappointed that it couldn't get what it wanted, which was that it wanted to live forever, or it wanted to keep the stuff, or keep some kind of something. I'm going to get really rich, and I'm going to earn enough money so I can put my name on buildings, and I'm going to put my name on a street even. I'm going to make sure that people remember my name forever. How long are they going to remember it? Maybe they'll remember it 10 years, 50, 100 years? How about 200 or 500 years? What about 1,000 years? Like, in 1,000 years, do you think we're going to live on the planet here the way we do now? Or will humans still be alive? Like, what's going to be left of humanity in 1,000 years? It's not as obvious as it would have been 1,000 years ago. Because 1,000 years ago, like, yeah, humans are going to survive. Like, that seems pretty apparent that, like, they're up and coming. And now it's kind of like, yeah, maybe they will, but there's also the option that they kind of just annihilate themselves, which is a high possibility that could happen. I mean, I hope it doesn't, but it could. So in 1,000 years, and so what? If someone in 1,000 years go through a book and they're like, oh, look, there's his name or her name. Is that going to make you feel better because you're dead anyway? So what was the point? What were the point of all that fighting, all that arguing, all that pressure, all that distortion, this emotional judgment towards everything and everyone, to get your name on a building, to get your name on whatever it is that you want them to remember you by, or to make that deed that was so important so that they will remember you for what you did, or for what you didn't do. Like, it could be both ways. So we've looked at the perspective of the self feeling like it needs to be remembered, or be immortal, because that's basically why we want to be remembered, because we're afraid of dying. We're afraid of looking at the part of us thinking like, oh, I'm just going to disappear. I simply won't be here. And that is scary. So I need to make sure people remember me, because then a part of me will survive. And that's going to make me feel a little bit better. Yes, it doesn't matter. You won't be here. Why does it matter? Why spend all that energy and all that fighting instead of just accepting what is right now? And then, I mean, if you realize that you are going to die, one option is, of course, to become depressed and thinking like, oh, there's no point in anything. But the other one, which is a much better solution, is to simply think, well, why not just enjoy being here? Why not just have a good time when you're here on this planet? Because you only have a tiny, tiny piece of time. It's like a sliver of time. It's just so small. If you think about how old the planet is, and then how long humanity has been here, and animals and life on the planet, then your life is like it's barely like a blip. It's not even a blip. Like it won't even register in the passage of the earth. So why do anything other than enjoying being here? And I'm not talking about, oh, go out and just like do whatever you want and just be this, like, give into your needs and desires. Like that's not happiness. That is following your distortion. That is following the sense of identity that says that if I can get that thing, then I'll be happy. It's the same as if I can get my name on the house, on the bill, on like all these things so that people remember me, or do the deeds that people remember me by. It's the same thing, kind of like you won't get that by doing all those things, because after you've done enough things, you realize that, well, getting one more thing is not going to make me happy forever. It's just not going to happen. Instead, happiness is a choice. It's a choice to allow yourself to be here. Because when you look at it, there's a feeling inside of us the whole time, even now when you're sitting there now. If you look inside and feel, what does it feel like to be you right now? You'll sit and there's going to be a slight uncomfortableness that makes it so that you don't really want to be here. It's like, I just want to move over there or over here. I can't just stand still. And if you try, well, I can stand still, and then you stand still, like, yeah, stand like that for half an hour, and then you'll feel that feeling like, no, it's not okay to just be here. I need to move somehow. I need to do something. I can't just stand still. I need to achieve something. I need to make something happen. And that is such a low subliminal distortion that's just vibrating, and it's just uncomfortable, and we walk around with it the whole time. And that turns into sometimes really strong feelings like, oh, I really don't want to be here. I hate this time, and I want it to be different. And then you get to another, like, oh, this is really nice. I really want to stay here. And then you start holding on, like, oh, I'm afraid of leaving here. What if I make the wrong choice, and then I'll be away from here? I'll go over there, and I don't want to be there. I want to be here. And still, we know that everything is constantly moving and evolving. Instead of trying to do all of that, when you feel good, when you just focus on, hey, JVB, oh yeah, it is. It's hurting my neck. I actually cut this one, and I kind of enjoyed it, but yeah, I have a hard time doing that. Yes, when you enjoy, like JVB does when he comes here, when you enjoy just being here, the thing is that the self can't stand that, because the self thrives on conflict, it thrives on drama, it thrives on wanting to be somewhere else than here. Like it literally cannot survive if you're just here. It needs to make you feel uncomfortable so that you go over there, because the self, the feeling of self, is a feeling, and that feeling is always in relationship to something outside of here. So if you're not pushing against anything, if you're actually truly really here, what will happen is that your senses are going to come to the forefront, and all of a sudden you'll notice how beautiful it is here, wherever you are. You'll notice how nice it is to feel the wind on your arm, or the taste, the moisture in your mouth, and just the feeling of clothes on your skin. I'm saying that as this is just really hurting my neck quite a lot. Like constantly having that awareness of what's happening around you, and not from the perspective of I'm here and I'm observing out there, but just from what's it like to observe the world around you with your senses. It's actually very enjoyable. And it will automatically make it so that you get pushed up against things, as in, I imagine you feeling good when you have to pay a bill. Like, well, I don't want to feel good because I don't like paying a bill. I'm just going to get it over with and then it's done. And then I'll feel good. No. Like, feel good when you're doing that. Or how about enjoying being here when you're going through something that's actually very difficult, when someone's saying bad things against you that you don't want to hear, when you're having a hard time. And again, I'm not talking about being insensitive or going like, shoo-hoo, it's top of the world, it's a funeral, but I'm really loving it here, and like laughing and just acting like a lunatic. Like there's social norms and ways of behaving in society that we can still follow. And that's why we focus on being benign. I mean, we focus on not wanting to intentionally hurt others, or the feeling of wanting to do that. Because you can feel good and be in a good mood when you think like, oh, that person, they got what they deserved. Finally, they got what they deserved, and you feel good. But there's a strong sense of me versus them, and me not liking them. So no, I'm happy because something bad happened to them. There's a strong sense of identity there. There's a strong sense of you there. You might say, well, I'm in a good mood. Yeah, you're not resisting being here, but you're doing it by making yourself feel good because something bad happened to someone else. In other words, you're creating that distance. So it really is a simple technique. By doing that, you'll immediately start seeing all of the things that you're pushing against, all of the things that you have that you're reacting towards. And just keep doing that. And all of a sudden, you'll be quite clear that yes, life will end one day. And that's okay, because that was always the truth all along. It's just that you resisted the idea that was going to happen. And when you realize that, when you accept that, maybe you'll actually start appreciating life a bit more. Start understanding, like, you know what? Like, what's the point of going around being upset and angry and like resisting whatever it is that you're doing so hard and being so upset? You're not going to get anything other than this. This is the only time you have. And this is the only moment you have, which is now. So why make yourself feel bad now? Because whenever you feel good, it's also going to be now. It might be in the future now for you from this perspective, but it's still going to be now. Stephen, a lot of times religion made it impossible for people to be happy now. Yeah. Because it's like something else we're looking for in the future. I many times say that religion simply comes from the idea that I don't want to face the fact that I'm going to die, so I'm coming up with this religion or belief that something good is going to happen after, so that I'll be okay. Hey Tim, nice to see you. I'm actually going to start with the meditation a little bit early today because I'm quite tired. By the way, I wanted to ask before, have you guys gotten the link, the last video that I made? They believe happiness comes after. Yeah, exactly. It's like, it can't be good here, it has to come after. I forgot myself. I wanted to ask, have you gotten the last video that I made? Have you gotten that kind of on your what do you call it? Your browser page or like suggested page when you're looking at YouTube? Because I'm really curious as to what's going on with my channel. Like my videos, they're getting really good retention. People are clicking on them. The things that before would have actually made a video kind of be shown to more people, but now it's the same every single time. There's like just a certain amount of people. Like I can see how many people it gets pushed out to, and it's like a tenth or even less than what I normally get. You saw it? Oh, nice to hear. So my thought is that YouTube has kind of said that, okay, he deals with meditation and Buddhism, but it seems like Buddhist people don't like him, so he probably makes bad videos. And then there's like these strange people, you guys, who actually do come back and look at it. And it's just, YouTube just kind of gave up and said like, okay, we're just going to show it to those people because they're the only ones crazy enough to look at it. Hey, Catherine. Yeah, it came up in my feed. Oh, happy to hear that. Okay, so at least you guys got it. Maybe you're the only ones who get it, because I think, like I said, for some reason it seems like no one else is really getting it. Tim, I almost exclusively see your streams in my feed. The videos I don't get recommended most. Yeah, I think that's the thing as well. That could be it as well, Tim, because I do so many live streams. Yeah, that YouTube promotes those more than my videos. And it feels like, oh no, we're promoting your videos, but they're actually just promoting the live streams. I think that could be it. Go ahead, JVB, do it. Yeah, why not do it? I'm happy to hear if you have something. Unless it's like really long, because then we can take it like next time. But I think that makes sense, Tim. Esperanza, what you were saying. I think that since I do 2 streams, live streams every week, then that's what YouTube actually pushes. It's a good reminder, yeah. I actually have recorded and made 2 new videos, and I'm going to start a completely new channel. I won't tell you which one it is, and I haven't done it yet, so it will be a little bit longer before I actually do. But I'm very curious to see what happens if I start a new channel, and I'm just going to have videos on that one to see what YouTube does with that one. JVB, I recently had a challenge to my being here. This past weekend, my neighbor physically threatened me after I asked him not to let his dogs incessantly bark at me and my family. That's a difficult situation, especially when it's at your home. Exactly. How did you know? It's my Fortnite. Let's play Fortnite account. Thoughts on that? There's some people that have a lot of aggression in them, like a lot of distortion in them, and it's very difficult to approach them with anything. It seems like no matter what you do, they're just gonna have the idea that they push back, like in everything. It's just their, like, what do you call them, operating mode. Like their base mode is just to react to everything. And some people simply believe that they should be allowed to do whatever they want to do, because in some way you threaten their identity. I almost said him, but I'm assuming it is, because if not, then yeah. They just react like that, and it's very difficult to do anything. I mean, I'm not saying like that it's difficult for you to have done anything else, but the idea is like, how does that affect you? I try to have the idea when it's something like that I work on my distortion towards the dogs barking, but eventually, of course, I have to like ask, like, okay, if this is like, we can't stand this anymore. And then at first I would ask them, of course, like, can we do something about this? But then after that, it gets a bit... There's another guy, yeah. After that, it becomes a bit difficult, because then, I mean, I'm assuming you're like the kind of person who wants to get physical and start fighting. Then the next step would be to call the police or call someone who's responsible. I don't know how you live. And you would talk to them about it. But then the problem is when they find out about that, then they might start doing something to you. And then you start feeling unsafe. And there's a very real difference between being physically not safe and feeling physically not safe. In this situation, I don't know if it actually is something that was a real threat, or it was just them throwing things out like out of their mouth, like this is how it means, and I don't know the situation. But I always try to make people understand that this is not saying that nothing dangerous can happen to this body. Like, you can't get hurt if you think positive or feel good. Like, you can. Absolutely. So don't stand in the way of someone running at you with a machete. Like, move out of the way. And that also means that we need to understand how to act and behave around people or in dangerous situations. I mean, I've been in dangerous situations. I was in the Mumbai terrorist attacks when, like, in the middle when it was going down. Like, I literally ran away just moments away from 2 shootings, and one shooting actually ran away from the day after. So it was. See, you were polite about it. Yeah, but see, you being polite could just piss him off. Like, that doesn't mean that was the right thing to do for him, because for him that might be like you, and the way you said it, you could have said it in a polite way, but what you felt underneath, like maybe he was very sensitive and felt that. So you always should keep yourself safe. Like, think about what that actually means. And that might actually mean that you need to move. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying, like, what I'm saying here is not the thing that's going to magically make everything perfect around you, like, so you don't have any issues. What we're talking about is, how do we not feel bad about this? So, like, you say, like, well, that's not fair, I shouldn't have to move, because I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying if you would, then that's the self coming in again. In other words, if you're in a situation where it's dangerous, you try to change that situation, but if you cannot, well, then you try to get out of that situation. Why would you stay? Like, even if it's unfair, like, it's not your fault, it doesn't matter. If you really feel unsafe, if you feel like you shouldn't be there, then you should move. And I know, living in a house with a family, that's not as easy as it sounds, but that's where you have to come in and then look at the self, like, okay, this is me. I feel that I shouldn't move because it's not fair, because they're the ones causing the issue. I feel like, and it comes in, and it becomes much easier when you don't have a self to defend. Then it's simply like, well, I tried talking to them, I tried calling the police, but now they're actually threatening me, and I'm scared, like, I'm worried this is going to happen. Then you need to move, or you rent out your apartment house and you go somewhere else. That's a similar issue I'm dealing with as well. Yeah, so if you're... Some people are too ignorant. It doesn't matter what they are. It's just a matter of how do you react towards that situation. And when you take the self away, it becomes a very simple equation. It becomes like, what's the situation? What outcome am I after? And then what do we do about it? Situation, it's a physically dangerous situation, or a place, a location and a place, and I don't want to be here. What I want to do is, I want to feel safe. I want to feel a place where I'm not threatened. Okay, then you actually want to go over to that place, and then you just move towards there. But what tends to happen is like, oh my god, this is so terrible here, and like, I'm still going to stay because I'm not going to stand for it. And then something bad happens, and you go like, oh, and like, there's big drama and everything, and then in the panic and everything, then you get pushed out and you move, and you're so angry, and everything happens, and you leave, and then like all this drama, instead of just, okay, it's physically not safe to be here, then do everything you can to get to a place where it is physically safe. I am incredibly fortunate and happy that I live in a place where I feel safe, and I feel safe for my children. And we don't have a lot, like, we have a really tight economical situation, but I'm still very happy that I'm able to live here with my family, and we can feel safe. And there are lots of sacrifices that we do to be able to do that. We could have moved somewhere else where it would be less safe, like anywhere here in Sweden. Like, it's not like it's a war zone or anything, so pretty much in comparison to some places, like anywhere is safe in Sweden, more or less. But compared to where we are now, there are many places, even not far away from me, where I would feel less safe, where I would much less safe letting the kids out by themselves. If we were in center of town, like, I wouldn't want to do that. So it just becomes a matter of what do you want to do, and then you do what needs to be done. But it's much more difficult, because for us it's like, oh, I have all my memories here, I have all these things I did here, and like, I put so much energy and effort into this. All things that happened in the past are not happening now. If you could let all of that disappear, and that didn't exist, it would simply be, well, obviously you move, like, you don't like it here. No, but I can't, because I have all these memories, all these things happen, I put so much effort into this, and we built all... It's just like a feeling you have towards the past, what's right now. I'm not saying this is how it is for you, JVB, I'm just saying, like, you just look at the situation without the distortion, and then it becomes much easier what to do about it. Tim, tight economic situations can be beneficial for kids growing up. Yeah, I think so as well. Like, we actually have that with my kids. where we live, the people around us have quite a bit more money than us, and my daughter is having a bit of a hard time with that. And I can see my wife also, like when she gets upset about this, my daughter. So we'll be somewhere and her friends will just like go buy this and that. And like we went to a concert and they bought like these posters and t-shirts. And I was like, well, we simply don't have the money to do that. And she was very upset. And she started saying like in the queue, like, oh, it's because we're poor, like because we have so little money. And I could see my wife going like, and my fiance going, oh, this is really like, and she felt really bad. It was really a difficult thing for her to go through, because she felt like, oh, I feel bad because my daughter's saying this. And it was very nice to feel like I didn't feel that at all. I was simply saying, well, we do the best we can. And I mean, I know I do the best I can to make it so that it works for us. And I know my wife does that. Fiancé, soon-to-be wife, does that also. And our daughter simply doesn't understand. If I would start feeling bad because of what other people thought about me, like, why would I do that? I just have this moment now with my daughter, and we've just been to this nice concert, and we're standing in queue here, and this thing is happening. And I said that, like, it's not nice of you to say that, but I don't need to get upset about that. I can still enjoy the moment of being there, even though we're going through something that socially might be seen uncomfortable. And this was nothing that was like physically dangerous. This was just a difficult situation. But yeah, physical safety is important. If it would have been physically unsafe for us, I would have made sure we went out of there. I would not have stayed there and said like, oh, well, I feel good now, so we're just going to stay here, even though it's becoming a really violent concert. Like, no, I take my daughter, no matter what she's safe, she wanted to stay, then we'd leave. It just becomes much easier because you don't, can you see what I'm getting at? You don't have to fight with the past. All those things, you just have to deal with it now. JVB, for now, I know this person will be temporary because he's renting and I own my property without debt. Plus his threat felt more empty than real. Oh, that's good. I'm happy to hear that, and I hope it works out. But like I said, it's just a matter of changing the perspective of how you look at this, like, and really seeing that whatever is, like, it's just a choice. Okay, I am so tired right now that I'm almost falling asleep. I think that was a really interesting. Did we get anything useful, JVB, that you could look at? I hope so, because it's a difficult situation, and I understand. But that must be like, I'm so happy and fortunate that we don't have to deal with that here. I really am. I'm going to start the meditation, and we'll just have it'll be a little bit shorter today. Perhaps it wasn't the best time to share my story. No, it was a really good story, and I really enjoyed it. Or do you guys want to? We can continue talking for another 10 minutes, and we'll just skip the sitting today, because I'm not sure if I will just fall asleep when we're doing the sitting. You choose. Raise your hands if you want to keep on talking for another 10 minutes. I'm okay with the other way, because I really do enjoy this conversation. No. Okay, good. Then we'll sit. I made it a little bit shorter, so we'll still sit. As always, just start by moving your awareness to your breasts, your breath, and just start being aware of breath happening inside of you. It's not that we need to feel any specific sensations. We're just trying to be aware that we are breathing. And we're doing this so that we'll be aware of what our emotional state is right now. Because ultimately, your emotional state, how you're feeling right now, is what shows you if you are here, or if you're emotionally, feeling-wise, somewhere else. You could have a completely blank mind and emotionally be somewhere else. That might not make a lot of sense to many people because we're so used to thinking of our thoughts. Well, I'm thinking about being here, but I feel really bad. Yes, then you're not here. Because right here, there is no resistance. Right here, there is only joy and enjoyment. There's only what's happening now, and it's just an experience. There can be physical pain being here, absolutely. There can be things that have to be overcome or that need to be worked on. But if you're feeling bad, there's a part of you that feeling-wise is not here. And whatever you do, don't feel bad about that, because that's how 99.99999, probably 999% of people on the planet live their lives. We're so used to the idea that we need to feel bad to get things done. We need to go around with the resistance to the world around us. Because if we relax, if we enjoy being here, something bad could happen. Something terrible could happen. You don't know what that is, but it's very important that you go around with resistance to the world around you to make sure that you're prepared for the future, that you're not getting caught up by your past. Instead of just being here. So the reason we spend so much time and effort focusing on how you feel and how you're experiencing this moment, and this moment, and this moment, and this moment, and so on, is because if you're feeling anything other than a feeling of being in a good mood and actually enjoying being here, then you're resisting whatever is. There is a part of you that is emotionally judging whatever is happening. Or you're somehow emotionally drifting off into a fantasy about the future, or a fantasy about the past. Whether that's a good one or a bad one doesn't really matter. So by becoming aware of your emotional state, that will show you if you're here or if you're not here. So if you check in right now, are you here or are you not here? Or maybe you're somewhere a little bit vaguely here. If you feel neutral, which is a very common state to achieve, I almost said achieve, to have happen when you meditate. That's not what we're talking about. Being here is not neutral. Being here is beautiful. There's a sense of enjoyment of being here. If you're neutral, that means you've separated from what's happening right now, and you're having this kind of observer perspective when you're not really here. Instead, you've separated from your senses, and you have the perspective of being something that watches out from the eyes, something that feels from the center of your core through the fingers, instead of actually being the felt sensation on the fingertips, being the eyes seeing. In other words, there's no perspective. Everything just is. To be aware what emotional state you're in right now. And use your breath as an anchor to help you keep that awareness. It's impossible to be aware of every sensation, of every thought you have all day. It's impossible to be aware of every thought you have throughout the day, but it is very possible to be aware of every feeling you have throughout the day. So as you continue sitting, stay with your feelings and your emotions that you're going through right now. to stop talking there in the middle. My voice gave out. Thank you so much for today, and happy you came up with that topic, JVB. Maybe we'll have more time to talk about it later if it's something you want to discuss again. It's the typical kind of thing where you can so clearly, at least from my perspective, see that you can feel good about the situation and what's happening, but that doesn't mean you need to just act like there's no physical danger there. There is something that you can absolutely do there. I hope I'll see you all again on Thursday, and I wish you a good week. Until then, thank you very much.